The next whiskey cocktail I have for you today is the I don't have a hill of a beans idea. The next whiskey cocktail I have for you today is the Hey all, welcome back to SLB Basement Bourbon Bar. I am Kurt Ludington, your resident host and bartender. I have had numbers of people ask me for more whiskey cocktails, and we are in the Basement Bourbon Bar, and we do have several hundred bottles of whiskeys and bourbons fortunately down here, so sounds like a good idea to me. Why not? Today I have four different whiskey cocktails to share with you, but before we get into the cocktails, do me a favor if you would please and hit that subscribe button. That would be awesome. After you've done that, reach on over and hit that notification bell. That way you won't miss a single episode of the show. Also, please feel free to comment below. We would love to read your comments. All right, the very first whiskey cocktail I'm going to mix for you is super easy, super simple, but yet extremely delicious. It's the Gold Rush. Now, if anybody comes down here to the Basement Bourbon Bar and they say, oh man, I just don't like whiskey. I just don't like bourbon. This is my go-to whiskey cocktail, and 8 out of 10 times when I set that in front of them, they go, man, this is pretty good. We're going to start out with 3/4 ounce of honey syrup. 3/4 ounce of honey syrup. That honey syrup is a 3-to-1 ratio. 3 parts of honey to 1 part warm water. Give it a real good shake to combine the two, and it's that simple. There you have honey syrup. After the honey syrup, I'm going to add 3/4 ounce of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Last ingredient of the cocktail, bourbon. I've got some George Remus here. You can use the bourbon of your choice. I'm going to pour in 2 full ounces. 2 full ounces of bourbon. And that's it. That's all the ingredients of the cocktail. Super simple. Want to get some ice in this tin, and we're going to give it a shake. All right, you want to get a nice frosty feel on your tin, and then you should be good to go. I have a single rocks glass here with a beautiful clear cube of ice. I'm going to reach behind me because I did forget my strainer. We do not need to double strain this cocktail since it's poured over a block of ice. Now, what I like to do, this is optional, I really like the scent of the thyme when I'm drinking this cocktail, so I'm just going to put a couple of sprigs of fresh thyme, and that's the Gold Rush cocktail. That's absolutely delicious. Got a little bit of the bourbon, get a little bit of flavor from the bourbon, but with the lemon, the tartness of the lemon and the honey syrup just sweetens it up perfectly. That is fantastic. The next whiskey cocktail I want to make for you today is the Raspberry Rye Sour. I wanted to pick out at least 2 whiskey cocktails that were extremely simple to make and yet very easy to duplicate at home. This particular cocktail has 3 ingredients, just like the Gold Rush, and also the exact amounts of measurements for each part of the cocktail. So let's get started with the raspberry syrup. I have some Lieber & Company raspberry syrup that we're going to be using today. Trenton's going to drop you a link down at the bottom where you can get yourself a bottle of this. I would highly recommend this particular raspberry syrup. It is outstanding and it mixes extremely well in all different kinds of cocktails. So with this raspberry syrup, we're going to pour 3/4 ounce, just like we did with the honey syrup and the Gold Rush. Right after that, we're going to follow that up with 3/4 ounces again of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And now for the star of the show, our rye whiskey. I'm using Old Forrester rye. You can use the rye of your choice, but we're also going to pour in 2 full ounces of the Old Forrester rye. That's all the ingredients of the raspberry rye sour. I want to get some ice and we're going to give it a shake. All right, I have a double rocks glass filled with ice for this particular cocktail. Again, we do not need a double strain. We're going to be pouring right into our rocks glass. For a garnish, I have 1 single raspberry on a garnish pick, and that's it. That's the raspberry rye sour. Man, that is really, really good. The sweetness of the raspberry, again, a little bit of tartness with the lemon juice, but that rye spice and a little bit of the rye flavors really comes through. That is a #1 cocktail. The third whiskey cocktail today is the Artist's Special. This is a little bit different for me because I have not done a video using sherry. We're going to see what it's like. We're going to start out with a ½ ounce of grenadine. Trenton's going to give you a link for that too. You can catch that on Amazon. This is Jack Rudy grenadine. On the last video we featured that and it was fantastic. Jack Rudy grenadine. We're going to pour in a ½ ounce again, freshly squeezed lemon juice. So ½ ounce of the grenadine, ½ ounce of the lemon juice. We're going to pour in 1 ounce of Oloroso sherry. Oloroso sherry. After we've done that, our main spirit of the cocktail, we're going to be using a blended Scotch. You can use the blended Scotch of your choice. If you have Monkey Shoulder, Compass Box, there's several. Today I'm going to be using Johnnie Walker Black. We're going to pour in the exact same measurement as the sherry. We're going to pour in 1 full ounce. That's all the ingredients of the Artist's Special. Let's get some ice in this bad boy and give it a shake. That should do it. I've got a cocktail coupe ready to go. I am going to give this a double strain. On a roll today, I forgot my strainer. Set that to the side. What we need to do for a garnish on this one is get a nice piece of lemon peel, fresh lemon peel. We're going to express the oils on top. As I always do, we're going to take a little bit of a rub around the rim, so that way you can get that lemon essence every time you take a sip. I'll lay that right here if I can. There you have it, the Artist's Special. That is really good, but very different. I really have never mixed up a cocktail like that before. You do get a little bit of the lemon essence, of course, from the peel, the sweetness from the grenadine, and the tartness from the lemon juice, but the smokiness of this Johnnie Walker is way in the background, and the sherry is pretty much the star of that particular cocktail. It's extremely well balanced, and it's an enjoyable cocktail. The fourth and final whiskey cocktail I have for you today, I have to admit, it's my absolute favorite of the group. Believe it or not, it wasn't only a couple of weeks ago that I stumbled on this recipe on Instagram. I apologize, I can't give credit for this particular recipe because I just don't remember. But regardless, this cocktail is called Blood and Bourbon. It is absolutely my new favorite whiskey cocktail. Let's get started. I've got to put in 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. I'm going to follow that up with 1 full ounce of rich simple syrup. Now, what I mean by rich simple syrup, this was made just a couple weeks ago with 2-to-1 ratio. I used 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of water, simmered it on the stove until everything was combined, and there you have it, rich simple syrup, 2-to-1 ratio. All right, next I'm gonna put in 1.5 ounces. This is blood orange juice, fresh blood orange juice. I stumbled across it at our grocery store, and I thought I'm going to get a few, and then I looked for a particular cocktail recipe. I came up with this one, and I'm glad I did. 1.5 ounces of freshly squeezed blood orange juice. One and a half ounces. Lastly, for the non-alcohol ingredients of the cocktail, I have 1/4 ounce of lemon juice, just 1/4 ounce. For our main spirit of the cocktail is bourbon. Today I am using Old Grandad 114. Now listen, I really feel with this particular cocktail that you need a bourbon that has a little bit of oomph to it, a little bit of alcohol content. 114 obviously stands for it's got 114 proof. So this particular bourbon is only $20-something. It's a great buy. It's an excellent cocktail mixer when you need an overproof bourbon, but you can also enjoy this neat or on the rocks. It's really very versatile. I poured in 2 full ounces of the Old Grandad. That's all the ingredients of the blood and bourbon. Let's get a little bit more ice and give it a shake. All right. I have a double rocks glass filled with ice, ready to go for this cocktail. We're just going to strain it right into the glass. It's a great color to the cocktail. I'm going to garnish that with a half of a blood orange wheel. I just think that looks so cool too, doesn't it? It's fabulous. Try to stick that into the side, and it's that easy. Blood and bourbon. That tastes so good. You have no idea. You absolutely have to have the rich simple syrup because of all the citrus and the acid that's in there. The blood orange shines through. Obviously that's the star of the party here. But by using this high proof bourbon, this Old Grandad, you still get that really nice bourbon flavor. It's just a beautiful, beautiful whiskey cocktail. I really hope you enjoyed the video today. We made 4 outstanding whiskey cocktails. Please let me know how you like them. Try them at home. I'd be curious to know your thoughts. Please drink responsible. That's very, very important to the show. And we'll see you next time with me right down here at the Basement Bourbon Bar. See ya.